and welcome back to Wargaming World. Now we return to France 1940 and to a game of Chain of Command. So for everybody who likes watching the battle reports, then this video is really a setup for a mini campaign that I'm going to play, which is going to be called the Battle for the Three Bridges. Now if you want to go straight to the action itself, then skip this video and go on to the next video, which is going to start essentially at the first phase of the first turn. If you want to get an understanding about what this mini campaign is about, then stay tuned. Now this is the other end of the table, and you'll see that I've got a railway bridge here, and this is going to be the ultimate objective of this mini campaign. So the campaign we're playing is from the main rulebook, and it's attack on an objective. That's scenario 6, and the objective is this railway bridge here. So the question is, why play it as a mini campaign? We can see that we've got the bridge here and the railway station with it, but my thought is that it's a little bit too tricky to be taken by a single attack. To explain that a little further is that if we go back a little from the railway bridge itself, we can see that the French defenders have in fact been working on a defensive position, because it's actually a critical junction here, and over recent weeks and months they'd originally dug out the road and had started to build emplacements. However, the German attack has meant that in actual fact what the French have done is simply to set it out as a very large mined area with barbed wire, and it makes it fairly impassable for the Germans moving an initial attack on this road bridge. And so with the Germans attacking from the left hand side here, it gives us three key objectives. The first objective is for the German motorised section to try and take this footbridge. So that's going to be essentially scenario 1. The French are defending with a single platoon. They will get support, as I'll explain shortly, but the idea here is to see whether they can hold up the Germans for this first footbridge. Now the first scenario then switches to the second bridge. Once the Germans have occupied this initial footbridge, there is a second which moves across the river here, and it gives the Germans access now to the ultimate objective, which is the station and the road bridge beyond. Now hopefully it makes some sense why I'm suggesting it might be too difficult for the Germans to take the railway bridge in a single attack, and therefore I've split it out into three phases of the game, and that will also have three support elements adding into it. So I am trying to play this on a single table. I've had lots of conversations with the excellent Facebook group Chain of Command France 1940 about the idea of splitting this out into three separate tables, and I'm going to do exactly that in terms of the campaign and how you might play this in three separate tables. Or if you follow and you'd like the table as is at the moment, you can play it as three phases of a single table. So that sounds slightly complicated, but the idea is it gives you lots of options to play the game and just have a bit of fun. Now I just wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at the table itself. Spend a lot of time putting this together, and I think it's a nice table with some lots of nice features. So I thought I'd start here at the watermill, and just to show that there's an element of ground here. So this is why it goes across the river, and you can see how the watermill is still going through the water here. So that's where and why it's positioned as it is. And this is then connected to a gorge. Now the gorge I got from the last valley. It's one of the new things I've added to the tabletop, But it's really really useful. It's nice like this. I've also thought about putting some kind of cover over the river, and so I could use it for this feature if we were just using it just a land piece and not necessarily with a river. So that's useful, and we'll see in the background there a couple of things. I've added a new sort of featurette there on that back corner, which is just like a little monument there, and beyond it we've got a way in which the church has some vicar waiting for it, and also its congregation are joining across the footbridge. And then over here, a little further on, we've got a family, and the grandmother is watching as the children might be late for church. So yeah, that's how the table is set out. Now, I've mentioned that this area here is all mined, and we've got barbed wire. So we move up the next level, and I've added this hill because I think it's nice to be able to play a war game maybe at a couple of levels. That gives me an opportunity to introduce this railway bridge, and it's still in operation, the station, before we've got the battle commencing. And in the background there we've got the station itself, and people waiting for the next train. So what we do know is that the Germans will be advancing from the main road initially, and we're going to need to take a look at what the German and French forces are. So let's have a look at the first scenario, which is the battle for the road bridge. Okay, let's have a look at our French forces. Let's just take a look at the main commander of the mini campaign. It's our senior leader here with pistol, and he has 3 command initiatives. He's also supported with a senior leader, but it's an inferior senior leader. So he only has 2 command initiatives here, and here he stands with a rifle. And our HQ team also has another junior leader with it, and 3 VB grenade launchers. So that's our HQ force. And we then have a standard French platoon. Each platoon is made up of an NCO here on the right hand side. We then have a light machine gun with 1 crew member and 4 rifles to support, and then we also have a further 4 rifles. So in total we have 3 of these sections making up this full standard platoon. Now in this campaign, the first phase, the French are going to get 8 points of support. The Germans will get twice as many, and when we get into the second, the French will get 4, and then the third they will only get 2. So for the 8 points that we have, I've gone for 2 units. One is the 25mm gun with 5 crew and a junior leader. That's 3 points. And then also a panhard. Now that would normally be 3 points, but we don't normally get it with this particular platoon, so it's cost me an additional point to take us up to 4, 7 in total. And I'm also going to have an adjutant, which means we get 8 points in total. Now, one thing to point out with the campaign is that at the end of the first game, the French and Germans will retain all the support units they have that they've got through each original phase of the game. And finally, I'd just like to mention the French cavalry. I use this instead of patrol markers for the patrol phase. So you'll see these right at the start of the game, and I'll tend to use either 3 or 4 of the cavalry, but this is the unit that I use and like to get them on the table each game. Right, let's take a look at the Germans, and we have a motorised infantry platoon. This means that we have 2 senior leaders, and for this mini-campaign, this is our main leader here in the front. We have a second senior leader at the back there, one with a pistol. And we also have our 5cm mortar team. The platoon's then made up of 3 squads, led by an NCO with a submachine gun. We have an MG34 team, it's with 3 crew, and then we have 6 riflemen, making up a total of 30 men for this particular platoon. Now in this game the Germans will get 16 points for the first phase of the game. They'll get 8 in the second and 4 in the third. So you could choose any combination really, but I've decided to add an additional squad, which is 4 points. We've also got a 2-2-2, and that is coming in at 4 points also, so that's 8. And then I've also added, in addition to that, a recce team, a motorcycle recce team, which is 5 points. And I've also got a red dice, so that's an additional 2 points. And finally, for 16 in total, I add an adjutant. Now you can see I also have some Fallschirmjäger here, and I use these for the patrol phase in the same way I do for the French cavalry, and I'll use either 3 or 4 of these getting onto the table. And there we have it. We've had a look at both forces, the Germans attacking and the French. We've got the Germans approaching on this road here in the first phase of this game to attack and look to take the road bridge over the river. And the next thing to do in the next video is to start with the patrol phase. So thanks for watching the preparation for this game. If you've got any thoughts, then please drop a line either on the Facebook group, which is Chain of Command France 1940, or feel free to put something on the YouTube comments, and I can take a look at that and see if we can add that into to the game as we play. So right, okay, thanks again, and on with the patrol phase.